Hi, I'm Bridget Dutta Portman, author of the new young adult fantasy novel with mental health themes called The Twin Stars. I am going to be talking a little bit about character today. And in particular, I want to talk about the idea of the Mary Sue. So you might be familiar with a Mary Sue, but if you are not, a Mary Sue is a character type or an archetype. Often female, but not always. We can have Mary Sues of any gender. And these characters are unrealistically perfect. They tend to be extremely attractive. Anyone who meets them either instantly falls in love with them or wants to be their best friend or is jealous of them. They often are also very skilled, so they have multiple talents. They're good at everything they try. Sometimes they are the chosen one. There's some kind of a prophecy or a destiny surrounding them, and they are almost always the protagonist of the story. We see Mary Sue's a lot in fan fiction, and in things written by less experienced authors. And I confess that when I was younger, I wrote a character who was in many ways like a Mary Sue. So, in my novel, the character of Cosima is 100% a Mary Sue taken to the extreme. I decided to play with the trope here. And so my protagonist, Olive, has created the character of Cosima in her writings. And Cosima is kind of an idealized version of Olive. I'm going to read an excerpt here where we are describing Cosima. Cosima looked a lot like Olive, if prettier, but that was where the similarity ended. She was a princess who lived on the moon above the distant planet Lyria. She could fly. She could make flowers bloom from dry ground with a wave of her hand. She could generate shields of energy to protect her loved ones. She was bold and fearless. She never doubted herself, and she never hurt anyone, not even her enemies. It had always bothered Olive that Dadiji, with whom she shared her story during their chats and visits, did not like Cosima very much. She's too perfect, the older woman had said more than once. No one is really like that, are they? Why not give her some flaws? But Olive had had no interest in giving Cosima flaws. If Cosima had flaws, she would never be able to defend her mother and father, nor defeat her foster brother, the power-hungry Prince Bernash, nor separate the conjoined sons and save her planet. Cosima was perfect. She was the most extraordinary person Olive could imagine. It was difficult to understand what was wrong with that. So Olive is clearly an inexperienced young writer in this story. And what she doesn't realize is that Mary Sues tend to not be very interesting characters because, first, they're not very relatable. And second, there is really no room for growth when they're already perfect. Where do they go from there? So, you will see in this story, if you read it, what happens when Olive goes into this fantasy world she's created and actually comes face to face with Cosima. And I won't say anything more because I don't want to spoil anything. All right, if you are interested in reading The Twin Stars, it is currently available on Amazon. You can also go to my website, bridgetdattaportman.com, for a link, or you can follow me on Facebook or Twitter. Thanks.